When it comes to evaluating incoming NFL rookies and the impact that they're going to make on the next decade of fantasy football, there's a lot to consider. We need to consider their athleticism, their college production profile, their raw talent, and if they're even good at the game of football. But the fourth piece is opportunity and landing spot. And that's not something we get until the NFL draft is over. So here are 5 players that Basement Brewed Fantasy Football is even higher on coming out of the NFL draft than we were going into the NFL draft, all right here, right now, on episode 15 of Inside the 20 by Basement Brewed Fantasy Football. If ever there was a time for Borat to make an appearance on my show and go, wow, wow, wee, wow, it's very nice, I'm very excited.
Whoa, 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 wow. Oh la la, oh, whoa. King in the castle, king in the castle.
It would be when the Kansas City Chiefs not only drafted Xavier Worthy, but traded up to go get their guy. And the guy that they got is a 21-year-old prospect who played for the Texas Longhorns, who, by the way, ran the fastest 40-yard dash ever in history. And if you're worried that, he's the next John Ross, he's the next speed guy that's just going to burn out at the next level, that's not Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy is a terrific prospect. He had a great college production profile. He dominated as a true freshman. His routes are incredible. He has no issues going through traffic. He is a much better prospect than any of those speed demons before him. He's a great wide receiver who just so happens to be insanely fast. And now he's going to a Chiefs offense that traded up to go get him. Usually when you see an NFL offense trade up to go get a guy, when they're including additional draft capital that they otherwise wouldn't have to, that means they want that player for a reason. They have big plans in mind for the guy that they go get. You got Xavier Worthy, who's entering a Patrick Mahomes offense that we already know is elite. You don't have to play fantasy football to hear the name Patrick Mahomes and know that that's a great offense to be in. But to put it in numbers for you, Patrick Mahomes, ever since he's been the starting quarterback for the Chiefs, their offense has finished 9th or higher in passing attempts in 5 of the last 6 seasons. Okay, so plenty of volume, plenty of targets to go around. They finished 6th or better in passing yards in each of the last 6 seasons. So over half a decade of finishing 6th or better in passing yards. Plenty of yards to go around for Chiefs pass catchers. And they finished 8th or better in passing touchdowns in each of the last 6 years. Plenty of scoring opportunity for anybody who's wearing a Chiefs uniform catching passes from Patrick Mahomes. Now, I would be lying to you if I told you that the first thought that went through my head wasn't, oh my gosh, did Patrick Mahomes just get his next Tyreek Hill? Now, Xavier Worthy's not Tyreek Hill. That shouldn't be taken literally. Nobody's Tyreek Hill. He's one of the best receivers in the NFL for a reason. But it's fun to make the comparison, right? Tyreek Hill is 5'10", Xavier Worthy's 5'11". More importantly, Tyreek Hill is nicknamed the Cheetah for a reason. He's the fastest player in the NFL. But now you got Xavier Worthy, who quite literally ran the fastest 40-yard dash ever. It's a fun comparison to make. We've seen what Patrick Mahomes can do with a insanely fast wide receiver who's also good at playing wide receiver. It's a very, very exciting comparison to make, even if we shouldn't take it literally and expect him to be Tyreek Hill. That's not realistic. You got Xavier Worthy, who is entering an offense where, yes, they still have Travis Kelce, but Travis Kelce is entering his age 35 season. Last year was the first year since 2015 that Travis Kelce did not reach 1,000 yards. He's reached 1,000 yards in the last 7 seasons before last year. Okay? Obviously, there's still plenty left in the tank. The guy still caught 93 passes, 984 yards, 5 touchdowns. He's not going away. He's still a stud. But long term, Xavier Worthy is 21 years old. Travis Kelce's 35. Could Xavier Worthy be that new number 1 target for Patrick Mahomes long term? Now, of course, Rashee Rice, last year's 55th overall pick, he would have something to say about that, right? He had a terrific rookie campaign. He's going to be a big part of the Chiefs' plans in the future, long-term moving forward. But in 2024, as we all know, Rashee Rice is wrapped up in some pretty significant legal issues, and the Chiefs are reportedly preparing to be without him for about half of the upcoming season. And there's plenty of details to come. There's plenty of news to break. We still don't exactly know what's going to happen with Rashee Rice, but we are expecting a suspension, and if it is half of the upcoming season, that is a lot of time for Xavier Worthy to not only rack up targets and establish himself as a fantasy asset in 2024, but long-term, that gives Xavier Worthy a chance to establish himself as a trustworthy option for Patrick Mahomes, positioning himself as a wide receiver 1 in that offense, or at worst, a top 2 option moving forward. Now, of course, we do have to note that the Chiefs did bring in Marquise Hollywood Brown via free agency, and to be clear, I actually love that fit. I raved all about it in episode 8 of Inside the 20. I love Marquise Brown being with the Chiefs, being with Patrick Mahomes, but he is on a 1-year rental contract. There's no guarantee that Marquise Brown is even going to stick around beyond this year. And when you know the Chiefs moved up to go get Xavier Worthy, they spent the 55th overall pick on Rashee Rice last year, it's likely that Worthy and Rice are the long-term plans for the Chiefs at wide receiver, while Marquise Brown is more of just a Band-Aid holdover, who, by the way, I still love for 2024, but long-term, this is going to be the Rashee Rice, it's going to be the Xavier Worthy show. Again, Xavier Worthy going to Patrick Mahomes, Xavier Worthy going to the Kansas City Chiefs is very nice. And Basement Brewed Fantasy Football absolutely loves it. We have Xavier Worthy as our 4th overall wide receiver and our 4th overall rookie in our Dynasty Rookie Rankings on basementbrewedff.com. That's a resource that's available to anybody who's a customer of Basement Brewed Fantasy Football and includes rankings, tiers, and write-ups for every single rookie detailing what to expect from them both this year and moving forward. And speaking of this year, not only do we love Xavier Worthy in Dynasty Leagues and in rookie drafts, we love him in 2024 Best Ball drafts as well. He is being drafted currently as the wide receiver 40 around pick 70 overall, which is about a late 6th round draft pick. I am all in on spending that kind of draft capital on a guy like Xavier Worthy in a Patrick Mahomes offense that's going to be without his wide receiver 1 at least for a couple games, as we know of. All in on Xavier Worthy in Dynasty Leagues, all in on Xavier Worthy in 2024 redraft leagues, and especially in 2024 Best Ball leagues. Are you a software wizard? A code ninja? A Forgemaster? Or maybe even just a mad scientist? Then come build your career ladder with Infinity Labs, an award-winning technology company, best place to work, and business of the year with best-in-class benefits and compensation. Visit i-labs.tech. That's i-labs.tech today, where you can learn more about Infinity Labs, our expanding national presence, and why the status quo has no hold on us. Jonathan Brooks was my favorite rookie running back going into the NFL draft, and that did not change coming out of the NFL draft. In fact, after he was selected with the 46th overall pick, he further separated himself from every other running back in this year's class for fantasy football purposes. He's a 21-year-old prospect who also played for the Texas Longhorns. Biggest fantasy football upside of all the running backs in this class. He's a workhorse type of running back, and the biggest concern, the biggest fear going into the NFL draft was the status of the recovery of the ACL tear that he suffered in November of last season, right? That's pretty late in the season, making it fair to wonder if teams are willing to take a chance on him in the NFL draft, and the Carolina Panthers were, right? They used the 46th overall pick on Jonathan Brooks, a 2nd-round pick in the NFL. That suggests 2 different things. Number 1, they're clearly not overly concerned about the ACL tear that he suffered in November. You wouldn't spend that kind of draft capital on a guy that you think isn't going to play. Number 2, more often than not, NFL teams don't spend that expensive of draft capital, a 2nd-round pick, a high-ish, mid-2nd-round pick. They don't spend that expensive of draft capital on a running back if they don't intend to use that player and use them plenty. And so here we are. We have Jonathan Brooks, who was already my favorite running back going into this draft class. And now he's set to join a Dave Canales offense. If you're new to this show, welcome and thank you for being here. You're about to learn something about me. And if you've seen the show plenty, then you're already plenty aware of how in love I am with Dave Canales as a coach in the NFL. I've actually lost count of how many times I've raved about Dave Canales as a coach in the NFL, what he's done for his players and what he's done for his fantasy football players. He's gotten career years out of Mike Evans and Doug Baldwin and Russell Wilson. He's revived the careers of Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield. He's a terrific coach in the NFL. I did an entire episode on the guy, episode 3 of Inside the 20, if you want the details. But the TLDR, I love Dave Canales. I love his offense, and I love that Jonathan Brooks landed in Dave Canales' offense. Dave Canales, by the way, he was the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last season. And last season, he did not hesitate to force feed Rachaad White 336 touches, including 64 catches on 70 targets. That tied for the 9th most running back targets in the entire NFL last year. And again, 336 touches for Rachaad White in the 2023 season. That accounted for over 1,500 scrimmage yards, 9 touchdowns, and 15.8 PPR points per game, where Rachaad White finished as fantasy's RB4. And now you got Jonathan Brooks entering a Dave Canales offense that will not hesitate to force feed their stud running back if they have a stud running back. And you usually don't spend a 46th overall pick on a running back if you don't plan to use them. Now, clearly, in dynasty leagues, we love Jonathan Brooks. We have him as the number 7 overall rookie in our current rookie rankings, and I've had him up as high as 5. I only recently moved him down to RB7, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But we do still have him as our number 1 RB1 in our rookie rankings, 7th overall. Now, the reason I move him down from 5 to 7 is because of the upcoming 2024 campaign, right? And there are some causes for pauses. If you're drafting Jonathan Brooks, expecting him to be this sudden instant RB1 in 2024, that's not likely to be the case in year 1, right? We all saw the 2023 Carolina Panthers. That campaign was about as miserable as you can find for an NFL team. And it's not likely for them in year 1 under a brand new coach to suddenly become even an above average NFL team, an above average NFL offense, right? They're still going to trail on the scoreboard more often than not. They're going to suffer some negative game script. Jonathan Brooks might not get that kind of volume if the Carolina Panthers are forced into pass heavy game script. And quite frankly, even when they are winning, there's plenty of reason to think he won't get that superstar type of volume right away. The thinking there is the Carolina Panthers likely know that they're still in a rebuilding year. They know that Jonathan Brooks is recovering from a late season ACL injury, and they still have Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders on the roster. Now, say what you will about those guys, but they're fine enough for Carolina to move forward with to kind of relieve some of that pressure on Jonathan Brooks and not expect him to be this 300 touch back right away coming off an ACL injury. Now, all of that being said, right? All of that is meant to imply you should not expect a sudden RB1 campaign from Jonathan Brooks. That's not going to happen. However, when you look at his current cost in current 2024 drafts, Jonathan Brooks is plenty affordable. He's not being priced as a 300 touchback or even a 250 touchback. Jonathan Brooks is currently being drafted as fantasy's RB31 around pick 104 overall, which is a mid-9th round pick. That is plenty valuable to be worth spending that draft pick on Jonathan Brooks in the 9th round when you're getting a guy who's very talented, very capable of being a workhorse and entering an offense that doesn't hesitate to treat a running back like a workhorse if that running back's ready to go. Mid-9th round pick is a price I'm happily willing to pay for Jonathan Brooks. I already have plenty of exposure to him in my best ball draft. All right, we got to talk about this one. I feel like we are not talking about this next one enough. And that's probably because if you look at Devon Achan's current ADP, the guy is being drafted in the mid-2nd round of 2024 fantasy drafts. The entire world is expecting this massive eruption from Devon Achane. And trust me, I get it. The guy was as electric as can possibly be in his rookie season last year. And if you take that efficiency, if you take those numbers, if you take what he did last year and extrapolate that over a whole season, man, we're talking about massive eruption from Devon Achane. But you got to remember, Devon Achane is 5'9", he's 188 pounds. He almost predictably missed 6 games due to injury last season. He's never been projected to be this massive, massive volume type of guy. He's plenty explosive, and he's capable of paying off with efficiency, but he was never expected to be a massive, massive volume type of guy. That mid-second round pick, even going into the NFL draft, was way too expensive. And now coming out of the NFL draft, where we're going to talk about this next guy, that price tag on Devon Achane is way too high, and here's why. The Miami Dolphins spent a 4th-round draft pick on none other than Jalen Wright, a 21-year-old prospect who played for the Tennessee Volunteers. And to be fair...
Oh, don't say to be fair. Hate when people say to be fair.
Oh, to be fair.
To be fair. To be fair.
To be fair.
To be fair.
To be fair.
Well, to be fair.
Jalen Wright's college production profile isn't exactly anything to write home about, right? His college production profile is lacking, but the film is not. The film is not lacking in the slightest. Jalen Wright is one of the most explosive backs. He's one of the biggest big play threats in the entire draft class. He genuinely, truly has the talent, talking talent alone, he has the talent to be the best running back in this year's draft class if he's able to secure more than just third down work. Now, before the draft, we did a live show with John Chapman, who is a film guru. He's one of the best I've ever seen when it comes to evaluating incoming talent, evaluating incoming rookies. And ironically enough, before the draft, before Jalen Wright became a Miami Dolphin, John Chapman called Jalen Wright Devon Achane, but with 20 pounds on him. And that's a good thing, right? We need to add a couple pounds to Devon Achane in 2024. Chapman said this guy is shot out of a cannon all the damn time. He's one of the most explosive backs in this draft class. And sure enough, you talk about having a type. Who better to draft a guy like Jalen Wright, a guy who John Chapman called Devon Achane with 20 plus pounds? Who better to draft that guy than Mike McDaniel and the Miami Dolphins? 4th round pick. Quite frankly, this is a picture perfect landing spot. Miami Dolphins are a perfect fit for Jalen Wright. Jalen Wright is a perfect fit for the Miami Dolphins. Now, obviously, they have Raheem Mostert. They have Devon Achane. Both guys are there, and both guys went absolutely bananas last year. But that's actually kind of the point. The fact that both guys went bananas last year is actually kind of the point as to why the system is perfect for a guy like Jalen Wright if he can get onto the football field. Now you got Raheem Mostert, who's entering his age 32 season, and if we're being frank about it, Raheem Mostert was just a guy, he was more of a special teams player before he started working with Mike McDaniel, okay? Then you got Devon Achane, who almost predictably missed 6 games last season, which, again, that's somewhat predictable when you have a 5'9", 188-pound running back. That was always the concern. He was never expected to be this big volume type of guy. And to be fair, neither is Jalen Wright. Jalen Wright is not expected to be a big volume type of running back either. But when you look at both Raheem Mostert, you look at Devon Achane, right? They combined for 364 touches last year, right? Raheem Mostert himself had 234, which the Miami Dolphins probably don't want to see again. Devon Achane had about 130, which the Miami Dolphins probably do want to increase a little bit. But 364 combined targets between the two of them, there's plenty of room for Jalen Wright to get involved as a 3 running back committee, which for 31 other teams in the NFL would be disgusting and safe to avoid in fantasy football. But when it comes to the Miami Dolphins, what these guys lack in volume, they can make up for with talent and sheer efficiency, considering the speed and the explosiveness that they bring to the table. And that's just talking 2024, by the way. Raheem Mostert is entering his age 32 season, and Jalen Wright is 21 years old. Long term, you get Jalen Wright and Devon Achane as a 2-back tandem in that Mike McDaniel's offense. That is terrifying for opposing defenses, and it's terrifying for anybody going against those guys in fantasy football. So in dynasty leagues, obviously, we love the guy. We love Jalen Wright. We currently have him 16th overall in our rookie rankings, as high as the number 3 running back in our rookie rankings. And then in 2024, obviously there's plenty more risk to the 2024 season, right? As of right now, he's 3rd on the depth chart. There's no guarantee he's going to get on the field with or ahead of Raheem Mostert or Devon Achane. But he's also being priced at a cost that we're more than willing to pay given the explosiveness that he can bring to the table. He is currently the RB42, being drafted around pick 143 overall, aka a late 12th round pick in current best ball drafts. And because it's a best ball drafts, we love him at that cost. We are more than happy to pick up Jalen Wright in the late 12th round, especially in best ball drafts where you don't have to predict when he's going to go off and when he might not even touch the football. And then we got Ray Davis. Ray Davis, baby. Ray Davis might, going into the NFL draft, Ray Davis quite possibly may have been my highest rostered player in all of best ball drafts. He was easily my favorite late round target when I was doing best ball drafts. And the reason for that, and I wrote this in my dynasty rookie rankings even before the NFL draft began, is Ray Davis is likely, he very well may be the best running back in this draft class as it pertains to being ready to go, being ready to contribute day one. The guy is plenty experienced. The reason he's so suppressed in any kind of draft, NFL draft, dynasty rookie draft, the reason he's so suppressed is because this guy's old, all right? He's already going to be 25 years old in November. He's barely 2 months younger than James Cook, who's been there for a few years already. Now, Ray Davis has a very, very strong college production profile, especially towards the end of his collegiate career. Very experienced as a running back. He should be ready to contribute day one, right away, right off the bat. And the Bills were willing to spend a late 4th round pick on Ray Davis, something that you wouldn't likely do on a guy that you know is going to be 25 years old in November if you're not going to use him. Why would you draft a 25-year-old running back in the 4th round if you have no intentions of using him? I expect him to form a 1-2 punch, a 1-2 committee with James Cook in a Josh Allen offense, and that's worth something in fantasy football. Don't get me wrong, James Cook is great. I've been a fan of James Cook for years now, but he's unlikely to become a 300-touch type of running back. There's plenty of room for another running back to complement James Cook in that offense, and it's something they've done for years, right? We had Devin Singletary plus Zach Moss. We've had Devin Singletary plus James Cook. We've had James Cook plus Latavius Murray. There's room for another running back in that offense, and Ray Davis is a really strong bet to be that guy. Now, in 2024, we're all in. We're all in on Ray Davis. We are more than happy to pay the cost that's currently associated with Ray Davis in 2024 fantasy football drafts. He's currently being drafted as the RB 53 around pick 172 overall. Now that's an early 15th round pick, and we'll pay that cost all day long, right? There's a very good chance he's going to be ready to contribute. He's going to be working with James Cook in day one, and God forbid anything ever happened to James Cook, Ray Davis would be a good bet to be the guy who takes over as the RB1 in that offense. He should be ready to roll. He's exactly what I'm looking for as I'm rounding out my bench in best ball drafts and redrafts. Happy to pay an early 15th round pick for Ray Davis this year in 2024. In dynasty leagues, we have Ray Davis ranked 28th overall in our rookie rankings, and he's the number 6 ranked running back in an otherwise weak running back rookie class. Let's wrap this thing up with one of the very few prospects that was kind of off my fantasy football radar going into the NFL draft, but turned into somebody that I'm aggressively targeting in my rookie drafts, even in the tail end of 2024 best ball drafts. Let's talk about a guy who, if you're looking for a running back that offers Tyler Algier or James Robinson type of vibes, right? Those guys that are late round or undrafted running backs who smash in their rookie season, that kind of vibe, if you're looking for that kind of vibe, then we got to talk about Kimani Vidal. Now, Kimani Vidal is a 23-year-old prospect from Troy University. He's a 6th round draft pick in the NFL, and those things in and of themselves make Vidal a long shot prospect in the NFL, right? He doesn't have the same inherent opportunity as, say, a second-round pick like Jonathan Brooks does. Now, that being said, Keimani Vidal is also somebody who should be on every fantasy football player's radar heading into the 2024 season and in dynasty drafts. The reason for that is Vidal is a power runner with speed, aka he is a perfect fit for a Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman offense, which is the offense that drafted Vidal in the 6th round of this year's draft. Now, when it comes to opportunity, the Chargers' backfield after losing Austin Eckler is full of a bunch of just a guys and question marks, right? We got Gus Edwards, who's been great. He's a reliable running back. He's entering his age 29 season. He's been the RB 43 or worse in fantasy football in 3 of 5 seasons in the NFL. He's always been a better role player than the guy in an offense. Then you got J.K. Dobbins, who had plenty of promise, one of the most exciting running backs coming out of college a few years back, but he's been dinged up his entire career, and he's coming off an Achilles injury, which is a common death sentence for running backs, at least in their first year back from the Achilles injury. Then you got Isaiah Spiller, who's been a disappointment since the 2022 NFL Combine. There's just not a lot of legitimate talent or threats in that backfield. There's opportunity for a guy like Keimani Vidal to come in and make his presence felt in that backfield. So the opportunity is there. Then you got the landing spot itself, the system and the situation that he fell into with a Jim Harbaugh and a Greg Roman offense. Now, in episode 1 of Inside the 20, I talked in great length about what Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman, what that combination does for their RB1 in fantasy football. And it's the TLDR of that episode is that the RB1 in a Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman offense is somebody you want to target in fantasy football. Now, of course, Vidal is not the RB1 headed towards week 1. That's Gus Edwards. But to put some numbers to it, in 2011 to 2014, right, the 4 seasons that Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman worked together with the San Francisco 49ers, those offenses finished 3rd, 7th, 3rd, and 9th in rushing attempts. Better yet, Greg Roman's offenses have finished 9th or higher in rushing attempts in all 10 seasons that he's been an offensive coordinator in the NFL. This guy's been an offensive coordinator for a decade, and his offenses have never finished lower than 9th in the NFL in rushing attempts in a decade. Better than that, they have not only have they never finished lower than 9th in rushing attempts, they have finished 3rd or higher in rushing attempts in the NFL in 7 of 10 seasons. Okay, if there's ever an offense where we can be 100% sure that they are going to do everything they can to run the football, it's a Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman offense. That's what we have with the Chargers, and that's where Keimani Vidal landed in the 6th round. Now, again, he's not the RB1. He's a bit of a long shot being a 6th round pick, but if you're looking for that Tyler Algier vibe or that James Robinson vibe, that late round or undrafted running back that smashes in their rookie season, Keimani Vidal is that guy. He could very well be the running back, the RB1 in a Greg Roman offense by the time the year is over. Now, in Dynasty Leagues, we have Keimani Vidal as the 29th overall rookie and the RB7 in Dynasty rookie drafts, but we're even more excited about him in 2024 drafts where he's very, very cheap. He is the RB58. He's being drafted around 189 overall in 2024 fantasy football drafts, meaning you can get him in the late 16th round. And that's exactly the type of opportunity, landing spot, and upside that you want to target that late in your best ball drafts. Easily an auto pick if I find Keimani Vidal in the 16th or even 15th round in 2024. If you enjoyed this episode, then you'll enjoy recent episodes of Inside the 20 where we've been discussing the fantasy football impact of NFL players and coaches who are changing their uniform this year. You can find them all on the Inside the 20 playlist right here on the Basement Brewed Fantasy Football YouTube channel. And if you like this content, here are 3 different ways that you can get more of it. Number 1, subscribe to this channel. Number 2, subscribe to the Basement Brewed Fantasy Football newsletter, where I've left a link for you to join in the show notes. And number 3, consider purchasing a subscription from basementbrewedff.com, where you'll be able to use our analysis, our cheat sheets, and our online community to outsmart your friends, dominate your leagues, take down DFS contests, and cash in on NFL bets. That's all for today, but come back every Friday for more league-wrecking fantasy football insights. Cheers, this brew's for you.